Well, good Tuesday morning, and welcome to the WLBB Community Voice here on News Talk 1330, FM 106.3, streaming live online at newstalk1330.com. And this morning, we're on the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page. Good morning to those of you tuning in. The first show, the first Community Voice program of the year 2023, so we had to bring in a super special guest. Let me introduce you to her. She was elected mayor of Carrollton in 2019, took office in January of 2020. Grew up in Bowden, Georgia, graduated Bowden High School. She and her husband, Don, live in Carrollton. She began her career in public service at the city of Bowden, where she worked for more than 17 years. In 1997, she became probate court judge for Carroll County, served for 22 years before retiring in December of 2018 because she wanted to be mayor of Carrollton. And she is, again, in her third year right now, beginning her fourth full year. So we'll find out if she has any interest in doing this for 4 more years. Her name is Betty Cason. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Colin?
I'm doing great, and thank you for taking on the big challenge of the first show of the new year.
Hey, it's exciting.
Yeah. Did you guys have a good Christmas?
We had a great Christmas. We were very blessed.
Did you break any pipes?
No, we did not. We were very fortunate, and of course, I've conversed with David Brooks and about the city. We did have some pipes that burst along the way, and a lot of people had water pipes that burst, but thankfully we didn't have any huge mains to break or anything like that where people were out of water for days. Mm-hmm. So we did have one break over on Maple Street at the entrance toward Sunset Hills, but we were very blessed, and I contribute that to the fact that Mike Green and his crew do an outstanding job on maintaining our infrastructure. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people complained about Noonan Road, but what they were doing was going in to prepare
like
the
last
lines.
Year when they were right.
Oh yeah, my phone rang off the hook. So did everybody else's, but and it was. But I mean, they went in and they did the maintenance they needed to do, and then came back and paved the road. And yeah, it was horrible while they were in the process, but you don't want to go out and pave a road and then come back and cut it all up again. So, but Mike and his crew do an outstanding job on maintaining and doing preventive maintenance also.
And the Carrollton water system, I mean, it's smaller than Carroll County Water Authority. I mean, is it not? Wow.
I don't know.
It's not. I would.
Because we serve a lot of residents that don't live in the city.
In the city. But you guys, I think, Carroll County Water Authority had issues with customers, and Haralson County too, but you guys didn't, didn't have to shut down anything.
No. And, I'm sure as far as lines go, they probably have more, mileage of lines than we do. But as far as customers, I'm not sure about that.
Betty Cason, mayor of City of Carrollton, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. I did want to do this show today, kind of look back on the last 3 years if we could, and talk about what's going on now, and then talk about the future, any future plans you may have. We'll do that during the show. 3 years in office.
3 years. Wow. It doesn't seem like it's been that long, but
it was the COVID period. Betty Cason was the COVID mayor.
I was a COVID mayor. I told him, I said, it was kind of funny. I really did not need a pandemic on my resume. I felt like I had enough to be sufficient, but it was one of the oddest things. We came in with all these great plans of what we were going to do and the beautification, and just really, work with all of our communities and, try to bring us to the point of progress and, look into the future. And we went to Athens for our newly elected officials training, and there was a commissioner there. I think they call them commissioners in Rome. I'm not sure. But anyway, he was there, and he got a phone call from his office at Redmond had 3 or 4 COVID cases. And, I thought, well, Rome's still there. Maybe they're still far enough away. Mm-hmm. But then on the way home, we began to get calls, and we had emergency meetings, and then we began to get emails from the governor, and, you're just standing there like, deer in the headlights, but we knew we had to get everything together. And so I think all in all, it went well. Of course, there's anytime you get a 6 or 7 page executive order from the governor, it takes a while to go through it. But I mean, we had our chamber was helping us, our legal teams were helping us, GMA was helping us, try to work through all of what the requirements was of shutting down. And, but when we had to shut it down, that was hard. Mm-hmm. That was really hard. Because I know, these people, this is their livelihood. This is how they make their living. And to say you can't open your business. But, it's like some other things that came along. Some good things came out of it because actually I had some restaurant owners who told me that their business increased and their overhead decreased because it was all takeout. And I mean, when you call somewhere and you're waiting an hour for takeout, that tells me it's a great restaurant and a lot of people were eating out. I mean, what else could you do? And then, of course, there was the question of big box stores, what were essential employees and who were essential employees, what were essential businesses. And so, I mean, it just went back and forth and, but we got through it. And we've learned a lot. Zoom meetings were the thing to do. And, actually, I think people have learned that you can do Zoom meetings and save a lot of money on travel and those kind of things. And then I know most people don't think about this, but it really affected the housing industry in that now people can work at home. They can work from anywhere. So
that'll affect the kind of house you do buy.
Right. And where you buy it. I mean, if you...
We can buy it anywhere now.
You can buy it anywhere now. I mean, there are so many people that are still working from home. And, as long as they have internet and phone service, that's pretty much because so many companies are still doing Zoom meetings, rather than bringing all the people in, they'll just do a Zoom meeting. And I know that's been, in the past, we've been able to do some, but not to the magnitude that we're doing it now.
And let's go back to 3 years or 4 years, I guess, when you decided you want to run for mayor. What was? Do you remember your motivation? I'm sure we can go back and look at the shows and find out what you said. But do you remember your motivation? And
Well, because of some personal issues, it was hard for me to maintain my position as probate court judge, and so I decided that I needed to retire. And when I did, then I thought, well, what am I going to do? I
still want to serve.
I still want to serve the people. I enjoy serving people. I enjoy our community. I enjoy being involved. And, I felt like I had some experience, to give to the community because of my years of experience. And so I had some people mentioned to me, would I consider running? And I thought about it and I prayed about it and I thought, well, you know what? It's not a full-time job, and I was mistaken.
Why don't you put that phone number out there?
I know. So the opportunity just came at the right time. So I felt like God just opened that door for me to walk in, and it happened. Mm-hmm. And here I am 3 years later, and I'm thinking, wow, where did these 3 years go? So, but I feel like we've, in spite of or because of COVID, we have been able to maintain. We're growing. We've been able to offer a lot of new services and things for our citizens. Of course, beautification was one of my very top priorities. And if you look around our city, you can see it is so beautiful right now. And our square, we get so many compliments on our square. Mm-hmm. And, April and her staff, April Saunders, who's our marketing person. They just do a great job. I mean, we had something almost every weekend.
And I was going to try and touch on a lot of separate departments later on the show. I mean, April Saunders also with Main Street, right? I mean, she's
yes,
she's also running that.
Yeah.
You talked about the services that have been new services made available. Give me some examples of those.
Well, we have put a new trailhead in, and when I say services, I consider the Greenbelt a service because it provides so much for our community. We have been able to put in a new trailhead off of Alabama Street. We put in some spurs. We're looking at putting in an all-inclusive playground. And I never really thought about this until we had someone come and speak to us about an all-inclusive playground. Because what she said was there's a lot of disabled parents that would love to take their children to the park, but they can't because they're limited in how they can help their children, which is great. And then it also provides a lot of services for people that are handicapped that can still participate in things.
Is that already up, or is that?
It's in the process. Okay. So we're waiting on some design plans, and this will be funded through grants and sponsorships, and it won't be a cost. I mean, there'll be some cost to the city, but very little cost. I mean, we've been told that it would not cost anything for the city, so other than to maintain it. We've started a youth council, which is great.
That's your pride and joy, I think, right?
It is. I'm so excited about that. Just to talk to these students and to see. Last January, they got to go to the Capitol with us, and they also got to go to the Georgia City Summit, which is held, and it used to be called Mayor's Day, and now it's called the City Summit. And of course, Governor Kemp was there, and he spoke with them. He made pictures with them. And when we came back and we talked to them about their experience, and they'd learned how city government functions. I mean, of course, this is sponsored by GMA. And so they've learned so much about how things happen, and how cities actually functions and what there are in the city. It's not just police and fire, which they are a vital part, but still there's so many other things that it takes to make our city go.
And there are plenty of adults that don't understand that at this point. So, hey, last question before we do take our first break. Recycling. Will we ever have pickup recycling in Carrollton again?
You know what, Colin, we are just like everybody else. We're struggling for employees, and it's kind of like, which would you rather have, your recycles picked up or your water line repaired if it breaks? Yeah. So, or your garbage picked up. We would love to be able to start the recycling, and the last time I spoke with Mike, he was still 13 employees down. Yeah, and that's a lot in public works to be that far down. I mean, it's just hard to find people who want to work.
Betty Cason is mayor of the city of Carrollton, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program, the first Community Voice of the year 2023. We'll take our first break right now, come back and continue our conversation. We are on the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page this morning. If you have any questions or comments, I encourage you to post them, and I will look at those and share those with our mayor. Time right now is 8:44. Community Voice is brought to you by Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
I'm Michael Flynn, Oak Mountain Academy class of 1978. Katie Flynn, class of 2010.
Justin Flynn, class of 2014.
Logan Flynn, class of 2019.
And I'm Marnie Flynn, current teacher at OMA.
My uncle Richard Orm Flynn, a founding father of Oak Mountain Academy, had a vision to see students become confident leaders who hold a faith-based value system in an academically rigorous environment. We are proud to celebrate 60 years of fulfilling my uncle's vision.
Our family invites you to visit the campus or oakmountain.us today.
.45. Welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice on News Talk 1330, FM 106.3. Also on the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page. Thanks to Joel Brock for handling the camera work this morning, and Steve Graddick for punching all the buttons. Yes, behind the glass there. My guest this morning is Mayor of Carrollton, Betty Cason. My name's Colin Worthington, by the way. Again, Betty Cason is our guest. Glad to have her on for the first show of the year 2023. Do you do a State of the City address? Do you plan on that?
Well, we do. We've just put it out. We usually put it out in the fall. There was a copy that went out with the utility bills, and there's also a copy available for people want it. We put them out in different places for people to come by and just pick them up. But we've had the last year has been really good, and I'm going to pull up my phone here so I don't. Try not to forget anything. And I know people find this really odd, but we issued 1,642 business licenses last year, and of those, 126 were for new businesses. So we're growing, which is good. And we had 268 building permits, and out of that 268, 176 were new single-family homes, and so we're building houses for sure. And then the estimated value of our commercial and industrial construction, these are big numbers, $62,162,698.86. So that is a lot of new construction. Another thing that we are very proud of is we broke ground for our new fire station out off of Centennial Drive, which is off of Central High School Road. And I was out there Wednesday last week, and it looks great. No, I was there Saturday. And it's looking great, and they're so excited, and we've ordered new fire trucks. And I just want to give a shout out to our fire chief who, because of their diligence in keeping up with what goes on and in the arena of ordering vehicles, which if anybody who's ordered any lately knows that you can't get them. But because of their diligent work, we were able to save a little over $500,000 just by ordering one fire truck last fall rather than waiting till after January. So
that English guy's okay, isn't he?
Alan's a great.
Yeah, he hasn't. It's not even been a year yet that he's served. He took over for Jimmy, right?
Right. And he and Jimmy worked a lot together, and they do. They respond to about an estimated 6,000 calls a year. And in
the city. Well, are they helping the county at all, or is that?
Well, they do. We have a service agreement with the county. There's a certain area that we respond to as part of that service agreement, and they would help whoever.
Right.
And because of their training and because of the way they operate, we're still able to get the ISO of Class 1 for your insurance for homeowners or business owners or whoever. And that saves a lot of money to everybody to have that rating in the city. So, we are really excited about our fire department. And, of course, our police department, they estimated about 65,000 calls from July 21 to June 22. That's a lot of calls. Yeah. But hopefully, you were talking about my pride and joy with our mobile crisis units. hopefully this is cutting down some on the amount, maybe not the amount of calls, because they still go and secure the scene before our unit gets there. Even though we have a law enforcement officer on the unit, sometimes it's better just to have some backup. And then, but most of the time, once the unit gets there, the police and fire and everybody else is dismissed. They can go about their business, and that has been such a plus. And you can ask Chief English and Chief Richards. I mean, it has made a tremendous amount of difference in the way they are able to respond to calls.
And it's just been like a handful of arrests. Typically, you would have to arrest somebody. You come up on the scene, I got to take you in. We've got to figure something out. But because of this, I mean, there's just been, I don't even think a handful. I'm thinking maybe three.
One.
Is it still one? Yeah.
One, to be exact.
Arrest, yeah, and that's good for the jails, and that finds the person the help they actually need, and you determine if it's that big of a deal.
Absolutely. And, with our mobile crisis unit, and I hope everybody saw this yesterday, or not yesterday. I was so confused on the days.
It's 2023.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, one day recently in the newspaper, it showed or it talked about how that our video for our mobile crisis unit that we use when we go out to make presentations to people is going to be used statewide.
Yeah. That's the one you presented at the
at the
mental health awareness. It was the annual benefit.
Our masquerade ball.
Oh yeah, it was. I mean, eyes were caught up on that. And,
and I mean, these, even though the lady was an actor, these
she was great.
These are real life situations.
People were asking me if that was real, and I was like, I can't imagine. I mean, because it's all that shots, the angles, the perfect shots. I was like, they have 20 cameras out there.
But I mean, this is so typical of what they do, and the calls they get are not in a house. I mean, they may be out, just like that one was out on the bypass. Back in the summer, we had a man walking down the middle of 27, so the calls they answer are not just like somebody's fallen and can't get up. These are people that are in crisis. I mean, and that is, they never know what they're facing when they go in.
Is that video online somewhere for people if they could watch it?
Yes, you can go. Well, you know what? I say yes.
Let's get Jody to put it up on Facebook or something.
Yeah. If we can, she can do that. She will do that for us.
Before we do take the final break, the bridge work on 27, and that's going to be a work in progress till 24, right?
Well, yeah. Hopefully they'll move a lot faster than that, but I'd rather be a little inconvenient than to have the bridge collapse.
Yeah. Are the people are they more conscious of that now? Because that first 2 weeks, there was the driving wasn't special, but are people being more courteous now and paying more attention?
No.
All right. Well, I was hoping we could say something positive about that. But, all right. We'll take our final break right now. The time right now is 8:54. My guest is Mayor Betty Cason, City of Carrollton. And again, we'll have about 5 minutes when we come back from this final break. So if you have a question or comment, please put it up there, or you're just stuck with what I'm thinking and asking. Community Voice brought to you by Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
As a believer in the power of education, we are called to set the standard by shaping and empowering the minds of future generations through quality education. Oak Mountain Academy embraces this philosophy, which is why my children attend this prestigious school. I am elated to serve on the OMA Board of Trustees, where together we prepare students and remind them to trust and believe in the power to transform the world. I'm Dr. Brian Bain, inviting you to celebrate our 60-year legacy of academic excellence. Visit us at oakmountain.us.
All right, 8:54. Welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice. Dan Dixon, thank you for checking in. Yes, I look like Mr. Magoo now, with the shaved beard. And Dan also said, way to go, Mayor Cason. He's proud of his hometown. So appreciate you checking in this morning. In the last 5 minutes, let's try and talk about the future. Don't want to hold you to anything, but what do we, housing developments was a big deal last year. I mean, City of Villa Rica was talking about 5,000, potential housing units. Of course, that number's dropped down a little bit. I think people are kind of worried to invest as far because prices are going up as far as the product to build the house. What do we see as far as housing in Carrollton for the next year?
Well, we have a large development that's being constructed right now out close to City Station on Maple Street, and then across from City Station on Maple Street there will be a new subdivision there with. And I think I can't even remember if it's 28 or 29 houses. And then, of course, we had the subdivision that was out on Burns and Cedar. That's been, it's just rapid with houses out there. So, and, when you look around, they're all being occupied. So, those are the ones that are kind of on the front burner right now. We also approved some zoning out off of Northside Drive out that way to the east of that for some houses. And of course you have Windmill and they keep building. So we're building, that's for sure. Yeah,
that property east of Northside Drive, that may be what you're talking about. I think it's below the new Dunkin' Donuts and Wendy's. That big space, it pretty much goes all the way to the sheriff's office.
I'm talking about if you go across go across Bankhead there, we approved a subdivision out that way, kind of on the north side of Northside Drive.
You guys had to make some decisions over the last year as far as denying some subdivisions, as far as rezoning, changing the rezonings. Where are some good spots to build in Carrollton still? Well,
there's still a lot of land available, and there is another one that backs up to I guess it's on Old Noonan Road that backs up to Oak Mountain Golf.
Okay.
And I didn't want to forget about that one. It's hard to remember. We've had so many to look at this year. But the one thing I want to mention is our TAD, our Tax Allocation District, and I am so excited about that because that gives us a great avenue for improvements and to draw people here. And I've said this and I'll say it again, growth is good, but it has to be controlled growth. It has to be growth that we can keep up with our infrastructure and our police department, our fire department, all of our city's school systems, so we have to make sure that the growth we're looking at can accommodate that. We've had some industrial growth this year, which has been good. And this is from people that were industries that were already here. And that's a good thing because we want to take care of our industries that are located here if there's anything we need.
You have about a minute left. Did you see Maple Street being a nice pedestrian area? Walking up and down there?
Absolutely.
After that tag?
Absolutely.
And how about with the Bankhead beautification project? That didn't turn out too shabby, did it?
No, it did not. And we've had so many compliments on that. So, I'm looking forward to the Maple Street. I'm looking forward to the projects we have going right now with Lake Carroll, our new fire station. And, there's just so many good things that are going on in Carrollton right now. And I'm proud to be the mayor. And it is my intent to run again, which this is the year for the city elections.
Isn't that crazy? The elections never end. When is qualifying? Is that like March or April?
It's August, actually.
Really? Okay. Well, because they're nonpartisan.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, I know that's maybe a little premature, but
you can start putting the signs up in your yard right now. It'll be all right.
No, I'm not putting any signs up right now.
All right, Mayor of City of Carrollton, Betty Cason, our guest on this morning's Community Voice. Thank you for coming in.
You are very welcome.
And
it's
Happy
my
New
pleasure.
Year. And
Happy New Year to you.
We'll see you next Monday as Joel is out there taping the City Council meeting.
Absolutely.
Next Monday. And thank you guys for checking us out. The first Community Voice of the year 2023. Tomorrow, I have the City of Temple's mayor. So hope you'll tune in for that program at 8:30 right here on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3.